Hi creators, it's Claire from Write Accounts. Now, have you ever wondered if you've outgrown doing your own bookwork? Whether outsourcing your bookkeeping for somebody else to take care of would actually be quicker and easier for you. So today we're going to talk about some of the signs and signals that investing in outside help might be a good thing for your business. And we're going to cover off also some of the things you need to consider before making that decision to outsource. So let's look at some of the reasons to outsource your bookkeeping. So the first one, the most obvious, is time. Now, I'm actually very much an advocate that bookwork does not need to take you hours and hours. But if you really are booked out or completely busy, or you're simply just willing to buy hours to spend that time doing other things you enjoy, then outsourcing is a great option. But don't do it just because you think that bookkeeping takes ages, because often when we actually sit down and doing it, it doesn't take as long as we thought it would. But there are three major things that really are a signal that outsourcing would be a really great option for you. So the first one, you really do have just a large amount of data entry that can't be automated. Getting somebody else to do that data entry really is a no-brainer. The second one is if you have heaps of old transactions that need to be processed into your software and that are pretty much no longer relevant to your business, again, get somebody else to do it. Absolute no-brainer. And then the third really straightforward sign for me is that there's just lots of admin and chasing and following up, things like invoices and payments. Somebody else can totally do that. Now, the caveat here is if you think you don't have the time to commit to learning a software, you're going to need to work on that first. Just passing that off to somebody else, getting them to do the data entry, does not replace your need to understand your software, because I really do think using your software, knowing how to use it, is essential, because that's where all your financial information is stored. So not being able to use your own bookkeeping software is a major disadvantage to your business. So if you're saying to yourself, I'm going to outsource because I don't have the time to learn, really is a signal to stop, reflect, and go, actually, outsourcing isn't going to solve that problem for me. The second major area where outsourcing will help us is in energy. So this really is kind of related to time, but not necessarily. Sometimes you have the time, but you don't have the energy, the mental capacity, the bandwidth, whatever you want to call it, to do it. So if doing bookwork is a massive drain on your energy, then outsourcing could help you to be more productive in the other areas of your business, like delivery and marketing. So although energy is tied to time, it's really not as tangible as time. You can't just sit down and go, oh, I have a free hour today, I have a free ounce of energy. It's just not that measurable, but it is a limited resource. And again, like time, we want to make sure that we're balancing that cost of outsourcing against the benefit of saving our energy for other things or just generally saving it. But if you can barely function after facing up to your finances, I'm gonna say you need to work on that first, because finances are essential for growing your business. And if outsourcing your bookwork makes you think, well, I'm just going to avoid my numbers altogether, somebody else is taking care of it, I don't need to worry about it, that probably isn't going to end well for your business, because you cannot, unfortunately, just avoid the numbers forever. The third major area where outsourcing will help your business is in the technical. Accounting, finance, bookwork, bookkeeping are pretty much stuffed with jargon and technical terms that can make it really overwhelming and inaccessible. There are lots of complicated and sometimes overlapping rules and guidelines and regulations and legislation and all the things. But you don't need to know every single detail. You don't need to enter and itemize every single transaction to know that you need to outsource. Outsourcing can actually work really well in this area as a cross-check or like a second opinion on your bookwork, and it can also help you to address where you do have questions about tax. Is that thing deductible for my business, even though it may not be deductible for somebody else's? Getting that help can be really useful. Now, my caveat with the technical aspects is if you have no clue whatsoever how taxes that are relevant to your business work, you're going to need to address that, because relying completely 100% on somebody else managing your legal obligations is pretty risky, especially if you have no clue whatsoever. This is your business, and managing your business means managing its people, even those you outsource to, and managing your obligations. So you do need to make sure that somebody that's working on your finances is doing the right thing, because that is your responsibility. Now, one of the reasons that people often use to outsource their bookkeeping is it's just not in their zone of genius. But that is not an automatic reason just to outsource it to somebody else. Outsourcing costs you money, and often it actually doesn't just make the task disappear like magic. You need to manage the person doing the work. You need to make sure that person has all the information they need, and you need to make sure what they are doing is correct, both in kind of a legal sense and in the sense of it works for your business. That if you want to track certain things, you need to tell them that. You need to make sure that's happening. You need to make sure that the expenses you think should be advertising are going into advertising and not into internet and computer or whatever other categories are set up. Because the reality of outsourcing your bookkeeping is that it doesn't suddenly become this hands-off process. You're still the business owner. You still need to be involved. You need to provide the information for processing the transactions, because bookkeepers are not mind readers. You need to keep in touch with your numbers, because how else will you know what works and where your profit is going? You need to manage your money, because a bookkeeper probably isn't going to pay your tax bill or make sure you have enough to pay yourself. You still need to be closely involved in the finances, even if you're not doing the data entry. So when we outsource, we're effectively buying time, energy, and expertise. So you don't have to do that data entry, you don't have to categorize the transactions, you probably don't have to upload the receipts or match the bank statements. You don't have to use energy that you could use for delivering epic transformation to your clients. You can save that energy, that motivation, that willpower for the other aspects of your business or life. And you can avoid researching and learning about every relevant tax, every relevant detail, every relevant legislation, and implementing that into your business. But remember, you still need to review and analyze and be in charge of those numbers, because they're the lifeblood of your business. And also remember, and I think this gets overlooked when we talk about outsourcing, in the short term, the decision to outsource your bookkeeping is going to take up time. You need to find somebody to outsource it to. You need to figure out if that person is actually going to be a good fit for your business and for how you work. You need to get them familiar with your business, up to speed, where you're at, what's happening, how things work for you, how you like things tracked and categorized. You're going to need to figure out how you work best together. Do you work best by Zoom meeting? Do you work best just by emailing? How do you work best together? Developing that relationship between you. And then you're going to need to do some experimentation about how you want to receive information, what information you want, what's relevant to your business, and how often you want to see that from your bookkeeper. So it's not immediately actually an answer to save time. It's really more of a long-term time saver. So if you do want to get your bookkeeping done faster, because time is that main factor for you in considering outsourcing, then I would suggest you join my free and live training on Wednesday, March the 17th, where we're going to look at getting it done in under an hour a week, and generally it's much less for most businesses, and we're going to make it both quicker and easier, and I have left the link to sign up for that in the description for the video. If this video has been useful, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up or a comment, and I am perfectly happy to answer any of your questions. You can also subscribe to receive content like this on making business, finance and bookkeeping quicker and easier and actually work for you and your business.